Craig Hummer along with Todd Gogulski. And Todd, we've talked about this before. You have covered this event before, but this is one of those races that's a premier race for the Americans to go in.
Well, it really is, Craig. You see, the thing we have is we have a big circuit of about 60 miles that they're going to be doing first, and it's very tough. It's very much like a European-style classic with a lot of twisty-turny roads, ups and downs, and to boot, we got the rain today.
Oh, it's really tough because these guys are on their own, just the two of them. They're drafting off of each other. One guy taking a good hard tug maybe halfway around the course. He swings off, the next guy comes through, and then he pulls halfway around. But back in the field, we've got 100 guys that are trading off that chase. So these guys on the front are on the rivet the whole time. They're right on the edge of blowing up. The guys in the field, on the other hand, there's many guys who are just sitting in, saving their energy. Actually, if you're on that Amore Vita McDonald's team right now, you wish that there were a lot more corners because he already has his whole team on the front. And they're there, and if it was twisty-turny every single block, if there was a turn,
Can't get around.
no one could move up.
Exactly.
But because there's some open areas, they're liable to get swarmed. Another team may get their group of riders all amassed, and the lead-out train of their team may come over the Amore Vita team. So you can't start your lead-out train too early because your guys will fizzle and they won't be able to keep the pace up.
So the breakaway group, hyper-motivated, especially Kolex, off the front by himself, at least at last blush, and the field taking things just a little bit more casually. Let's face it, you've missed a break, you're going through the turns, you got teammates up the road, you don't have any reason to fall down and get hurt, because if you get hurt, you can't race the next race. And so the field really not laying it down, but boy, the breakaway, very motivated, and Kolex just going for it here. He's still a long way from the Knuckle Road, king of the mountain, at mile 56.2. Certainly the weather always makes people more attentive and more aggressive because they know that weather has a tendency to break up bike races because some riders excel in the rain and some really are not happy to be doing their day in the office in the rain. And so it really energizes the field, and you see a lot of aggressive racing.
What happens in these corners is the road has a camber, doesn't it? The top of the middle of the road is the highest, and it drains off to the sides. So when you go through the apex of the turn, you go from wide right to the inside curb to wide again, and when you get to wide on the outside, the road is actually off camber, and it's easier to lose control. It's also where the cars park, and they drip oil here and there. And so even though this road looks very clean, if there's just a little bit of residue and you do something a little bit wrong, you can lose control, and that's what happened. But this lead-out thing, these guys will get several riders. With a couple laps to go, they will try to take control of the race and just put a guy on the front for a lap and go flat out as hard as he can with his sprinter in place. And here comes the crash. Our first rider making it through just fine. And second place, you can see the back wheel washing out. Third place rider.
14. That was Michael Stevenson that went down.
If this were a 0.6 of a mile, 6-corner criterium course, the start would be absolutely critical because it's a 1.4 mile course with 8-9 turns. There's more room to move up. It's not quite as critical at the start. And also, very deceiving as the riders now coming around the corner, coming up the start-finish line for the first time today. This hill is extremely deceiving. We just walked up it. We actually took a lap of the entire course. This hill's a lot sharper than it looks on camera. The big teams will take the money from the whole year and it will go into a trust account, and they will divide up how many days each rider raced for the entire season, and you will get a share per day. So everybody gets the same amount of money for the number of days they race. And that's really just the icing. It's the bonus money because they all have a salary, and so they have the opportunity to get that check of prize money at the end of the year.
You've been on a team with Lance Armstrong. Lance, probably the pinnacle of a guy who's been able to make a living. That's an understatement, right? From this sport. But every year at the Tour de France, winning hundreds of thousands of dollars when he competed, that would all go to his teammates. He'd actually not take a share of those winnings.
That's right. In fact, Greg LeMond doing the same thing. Back when he was winning the Tour de France, he said, you know what, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll keep the Mercedes that I won. You guys take all the cash.
that group finally got together, about 25 riders. From there, I have to say that it was really the Garmin-Chipotle show as they continued to launch riders off the front of that group later in the last half of the race until User ended up getting off the front and being joined by Ericsson.
You've won Beauce in Canada. You won Lancaster here in Pennsylvania earlier this year. Now in Doylestown. You ought to move to this part of the world.
L'America del Nord ha fatto una cosa bene per te, hai vinto in Canada, hai vinto qui, devi fare la vita qui per us.
No, magari scorsa vita mi sono vissuto qua.
He says it's just been a fantastic time, he's happy to have been here.
Well, congratulations to Yuri Metlushenko, your winner here in Doylestown, unleashing that furious finishing kick.